What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Collective Comics. Today we are talking CGC versus CBCS. Without further ado, guys, do us a favor, drop a like,
comment,
and subscribe. And we're going to dive into this one. Alrighty, guys, we got a CGC, or I said CGC, CBCS slab right here. I did go over this one on the spotlight. I think this is going to come out maybe before, maybe after. You guys have maybe seen this one before. If not, get ready to see this one. This is a Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated number 1 in 100 ratio variant, if you want to hold that one. So that's the CBCS slab that we are here to review. We're taking a look at the slabs here today.
Yeah, not the comics as much.
Yeah, the comics.
This is about the slabs, and this is definitely like a selfish video a little bit for me because I don't know a lot of the comparison. I don't have many slabs, but the few that I do have are all CGC. So this is something that I'm learning, and you're learning, and we're learning together. So
yeah, we're going to compare how these comics are enclosed, properly preserved, and, you know, just even how they display.
Yeah.
And things like that. So we got a nice house on the lake, number 1. These are both 9.8 comics, both encapsulated in slabs here.
Whoa.
So I think one thing that I did forget right now is a tape measure, but I can use my phone and take measurements.
Yeah.
I believe. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So we're going to take a look at this nice house on the lake. I'll get some B-roll and throw that up. We're going to take a look at this one first and get the dimensions of this. So scratch that part on the tape measure because I can't seem to figure it out on my phone, but they pretty much measure almost exactly the same size. The CGC one is slightly thicker. I don't know if we can kind of see that on camera right here. We'll try to zoom in on it a little bit.
Or if you get measurements, like, before you edit the video, just include them on the screen.
Yeah,
too.
that's exactly what I'll do. I'm sure I'll be able to find them somewhere. The CBC one is just a little bit thinner than the CGC. But they're both approximately the same height. The CGC one is slightly shorter than CBCS as well. This is the weird part to me. Is when they're up side by side, it almost seems like, and I don't know if it's the angle that I have it at, but, it's probably the table.
The table.
Yeah, it's the table. That's something that I was noticing. Okay, so it was definitely the table. I was like, why is it? One of them is uneven, but they're definitely both pretty straight. One thing that I do notice and that I like, if you want to hang on to this one, about CGC versus CBCS is that these are so clear.
Yeah.
You know, I think that has to do with wherever this one had come from and like maybe this one was stored at or something like that. This one does seem a little bit foggier, but for the most part, I feel like that's a common thing with CBC versus CGC, is that they are a little bit cloudier, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely, you can see like the tops here where like these latches are. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. These ones almost seem a little bit more like secure. Mm-hmm. I do notice, I almost kind of like, the one thing I do like more about this is it almost seems like it's more, these are more rounded on the corners and these are more like boxy. I feel like that's more of a personal preference thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas like if it's more rounded, you could probably like slide it down something a little bit easier and won't get caught up as much. But I kind of like the square like form factor of this one.
Yeah.
Other than that, just looking at the two personally as like a first time seeing a CBCS slab, everything else about this one I prefer.
Me too.
Even
the label. I mean, yes, they're both blue labels.
like this. Oh, I'm holding this one.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm looking at a monitor and I'm going backwards on everything. Like this 9.8 is very small, but this one is really big and it has got like that white background to make it stand out a lot more.
That's exactly what most people's complaints are about CBC versus CGC. I'm going to keep it short instead of saying CBCS and saying all
Yeah, that was confusing. I figured it out, but
okay.
I was like, does he mean CGC? And he's not saying it, but
that's what most people end up doing on accident, and I just did it on accident, and I totally see how they do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something. I feel like the CGC ones are so clear that they're almost slightly tinted blue. You know, that kind of feeling, or like it has like that hint of like purple throughout it or something.
It's like water when you like look down in the ocean and it's super clear, but like from a distance it looks blue.
Yeah.
It's like kind of that same effect. You almost see like a blue tint here, but it also could be just like reflecting off the label. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's just that clear though.
Yeah,
that just speaks to it.
I've never noticed that with the yellow label. I don't see like a blue tint to that one, but the blue labels I do notice it. So it might be a reflection or whatever.
Right. One thing that I did want to say with this one being thicker, that the standard J channel strips, they're very commonly used for hanging up comics and stuff.
Okay.
You can get them a little bit smaller, but the standard ones that are used and that you see and that you would buy at the store, they're tile strips for flooring. You cut them and you hang them sideways on the wall, and if you hang one up on top, you kind of have to measure it out. It'll fit a CGC slab perfectly.
Okay.
And it slides it right in, and it's an awesome way to display your comics. This is something that, because of it being just that much taller, I don't know how much of an issue that could cause in that, but it's also about half as thin.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say half, but definitely
Close.
Noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot thinner.
Yeah, definitely a lot
than the CGC slab. So if you were trying to, if you were in my case scenario and this is your only CBCS slab and you're trying to hang it up on the wall in that J channel strip with your CGC slabs, it's probably not going to work unless you were to modify that J channel strip in some way. So that's a downfall for me.
Yeah.
You know, having more CGC slabs.
Say you have 5 of them and half of them are like 3 of the 5 even are CBCS, then that kind of leaves your 2 CGC slabs out and vice versa, you know. So that is a frustrating thing, especially if you're somebody who wants to display like that.
Yeah. Versus having a little frame here and a frame here on the bottom and hanging them up individually, which you can definitely do, but a lot of times it's a lot easier just to install a J channel strip and you can put 5 of them in a row right next to each other and it'll look exactly how you want to end up displaying them anyways on the wall, because they're typically displayed in that classic, you know, maybe 4x5 rectangle pattern or 4x4 squares and stuff like that. But so that's one thing to keep in mind when you are picking up a graded comic. CBCS, I don't see a necessary downfall other than, like you were pointing out a minute ago, is these top clips right here. These seem almost, I don't want to try it. I can also bend this a little bit more easily, is something that I do notice than the CGC slab.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's because it's a lot thinner. But I'll get B-roll shots. But these clips that are up here, I feel like that's going to make it easier to open, and it's not as protected as the CGC slab. Keep in mind, I do think that this is the previous generation of CBCS slab, but I don't think they vary that much, because I know CGC has the way that their case is enclosed and the way that their case is made patented, so nobody else can use it. You know, so I think that's another major player in the game on why some of these things have to happen, because they can't just directly rip off a CGC case, because it does look better. I'm sorry, you know, to CBC, but that's how it is. And it even shows that in, like if you look at eBay sales, you know, yes, these aren't the same book, but they are both 9.8s. But if I did have 2 of these books and I had one in a CGC slab, it is going to sell for more money than the CBC slab, because CGC is just that much more collectible. People want the CGC slab to match the rest of them. They've been number 1 in the game in the grading community for a very long time. So kind of standard. You kind of have to go with them. That's another downfall for me personally. I know you are a bit of a different story that you collect for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to collect for myself, but I also like to trade, and I keep that in mind when I'm collecting. You know,
Right.
oh, maybe down the line I can trade this book for a better copy of it. You know, if I had a 9.6 in this book, maybe I can down the line sell the 9.6, add another $20 to it, and get the 9.8 on a deal or something like that.
I don't know if we've looked up prices yet. I think last time we talked about it, we thought they were pretty close to the same. And if that's the case, even if it's for me or for trading or, you know, anything else, like you'd almost rather pay the extra couple bucks, just get the nicer slab for your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the future, if you do decide to part ways with it, like you do have that little kicker there as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a CGC Pokemon card up here. And the CBCS is almost the same like thickness as the card from CGC.
That's crazy.
It's a little bit thicker, but it's pretty close to like the same thickness as the card.
Yeah.
And when you come over here, like this is a significant difference.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we'll
You can definitely tell.
Throw some shots up.
Yeah, you can even tell on the camera there that like this is thin. It's one card.
Put those two next to each other. You almost think they're the exact same when they're that far apart.
Yeah.
That's crazy. See, that makes me wonder how they would do a premium format book. So, like, if I sent a Killing Joke to CBCS, that's a bigger, you know, 40, 50, 60 pages in it.
Right. That's what I was just saying. Like, this is only one comic, and this is one card, and if it almost, I don't know, you know.
It's a little weird to think about that the same amount of plastic is holding the comic versus the card. It makes me wonder how thin their cards are, if they even do cards. I don't know if they do cards.
Yeah, that'd be another thing to look into.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like this almost seems more just like secure. Even this small little case here feels more secure than the CBCS.
Yeah. And like I said, what I like is that this literally is a mini comic slab. They encase these the same way. The thing is that they have room to play a little bit with how thick of a book they can put in here. They have magazine slabs and other slabs that'll fit bigger books too, but as far as comics and stuff go, this is pretty standard of the size that is going to fit a premium format book. It's going to fit a longer book. It's going to fit a one shot, all that kind of stuff. Makes me
an annual.
Yeah, you know, annual is no problem. Anything that's like 30 pages or something like that, I feel is pretty safe in the CBC slab.
I think like the Nightwing coming out is like closer to like 50 pages, if I'm not mistaken. So it's definitely, you know, coming from like a 24-page book, 28-page book to like a 45 to 50-page book, like that's almost double. You know what I mean? And if they're putting it back in here, that like you said, it almost makes me question, like, are they just like pressing that thing in there, or like, you know what?
I've kept these both pretty much in the same spot. This one is up on the wall, but they are both in bags. Is something that I did want to point out. I've had them for around the same amount of time. Where this was before I got it, I don't know.
Right.
It's not too old of a comic, so it definitely wasn't sitting around for a long time. But the one thing that I did want to point out is that this thing is scuffed. Not like terrible, but you could see it, and it's been in a bag since I've had it. And I don't think who had it before me is going to have it outside of a bag or in properly like stored conditions.
Right.
This sits a lot, you know, the CBC or CGC slab sits a lot longer and sits a lot nicer than the CBC.
Yeah, going back to that clarity we were talking about. You know, the
you
clarity.
You can even see almost like stress cracks through it. Like
Yeah.
I was taking the book earlier. I can't do that with this. I wasn't putting barely any force into it, because if that's how you would crack this open, is if you wanted to, is to twist it like this in this direction, back and forth. But I can't. There is no play.
Yeah.
That one definitely had some play, and I'm not doing it very hard because I don't want them to crack open, but this has no play to it versus that having that play to it. It makes me wonder, going back to putting a bigger book in there, how is it gonna? Because there's those bubbles that happen that people get so annoyed with. I think there's some kind of surface ring or something like that that people get annoyed with, and it's from it being double enclosed in a case like this, and it's just the air in between the cover that it's in on the inside and then this outside outer shell. And it makes me wonder if you're going to get a lot of that with like a premium format book, because it almost seems like it's going to push against the outside of that. And this is a thin book, and it's already having stress cracks and stuff like that, and big signs of wear, and it sits there.
Yeah, you can definitely see. I don't know if you can see. I don't think the camera will pick it up, but there's definitely like inside this little lip here, even like that's not like the place that you'd think that place would be the best, because if anything was about to like rub on it, like it'd skip that spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that lip would protect at least this little ridge right here, but that's where like most of it is.
Yeah. And it's in a bag. So that's the part that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So definitely it seems that they are a little bit more fragile than CGC. So once again, once it comes down to that preserving and protecting, maybe that's why they're 10 to 15% less CGC.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, because I mean, like, look, you can see the camera's not picking any of that cloudiness up really.
It's not picking a lot up. Maybe
So,
I'll put a picture up and we'll kind of get.
But I'm saying
idea.
it would be easy for somebody to be like, "Hey, this is a 9.8. Look at the good condition it's in."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, in a picture. But then you get it and you receive it, and it's like, "Oh, it's not the
I
white.
have a scuffed up book.
It's not what I thought it was. It's not what the picture showed." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like all the 9.8 or not in the 9.8s, all the CGC slabs I've seen have all looked like new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mine. My King in Black came from a shop, you know, not, you know how shops get, you know, shops can throw stuff around or bump stuff, or somebody can grab it, touch it, drop it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you can see like a shop where things could have went wrong. It still looks just as clear as like one that was like a personal collector was probably displayed, or, you know, stuff like that too.
Yeah, definitely. It something to think about. Seems a little bit more fragile than CGC. You know, when you're doing a review like this, you got to point out those defects.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as defects with CGC, none on any of the slabs that I have, if that makes any sense. I've heard stuff about CGC. I feel like being in business, that is something that happens. Things fall through the cracks, things slip. It happens. Some of the things that we're talked about is, and I feel like it happens mostly in shipping, is plastic pieces kind of floating around on the inside. I feel like that's something that the book might have taken an impact or something like that, and it's kind of floating around from shipping.
Right.
So I don't feel like that's a CGC fault or anything like that, and this book should not be thrown around, you know, like that. But it's got to bear the conditions, you know, to get to you. But
let us know what you guys think about CBCS versus CGC. Let us know what slabs you got. We actually have a Discord. That link is in the description below. So if we have a whole slabs channel, we got people sharing their slabs there. So if you're into slabs, you got slabs, come check out other people's slabs and show us your slabs. Other than that, check out the Patreon, like, comment, and subscribe. Click the links in the description below to get yourself a discount on Dubby Energy or a free $10 credit on Whatnot using our link to sign up. And until next time, this has been Collective Comics.
see ya.